prospect with integrity, we will get customers who have integrity. Integrity is the foundation from which everything is built on.
You better understand value.
But at the end of the day, sales is a relationship business. It is a people business. It is an emotional business.
This is Sales Logic.
This is Sales Logic. You know what time it is? It is 8 a.m. Saturday morning, one of my favorite times of the week because I get to hang out here with my buddy and our fabulous audience to talk about, I think, one of the most important subjects out there, and that is sales. So, Mark, what do we have on tap for today?
Well, first of all, you had 3 engagements this last week, but they were all over the world. Go ahead and tell the audience where you've been in the last week.
Yeah, so I've been in Helsinki, Finland. I've been in Bangkok, and I have been in London. And I am a very lucky girl to have made all of those engagements and still gotten back here to the United States. So yeah, it's been a week. I only slept in a bed one night. I was either on a plane or in an airport sleeping every other time. But hey, we made it.
You made it, and you did that all in 6 days. Well, who knows about time zones? Anyway, hey, the topic, absolutely fantastic that you pulled that off. Topic today, why good salespeople lose deals they should have won. Make sure you stick around for the lightning round because we're going to talk about top 10 ways to increase productivity in sales. We got a question we'll get to in a book, but hey, why do good salespeople lose deals they should have won?
Well, I mean, I think there are so many reasons that we lose deals that we should have won. But Mark, what I love about this topic today is I think it is really important. I think if you are out there listening and you lead a sales team, get them to listen to this episode because I don't know about you, but the biggest mistake, I just had this in a presentation I was doing this week, is we were talking about ideal customer profile, about selling from a place of power rather than a place of need, meaning that you choose the prospects that you want to call on. And I got some pushback from some in the audience and saying, I would never turn down a customer. And I think one of the biggest reasons we lose deals is we chase the wrong business. And I think it's one of the biggest mistakes we make as salespeople.
We have to be prepared to turn down deals, and you turn them down early. Don't turn them down late because this is the challenge. What happens is you get in the hunt for the deal. And then you want to try to close it because you've spent all this time. And I think this is one of the reasons why good salespeople lose deals they should have won, because really what they should have been doing was really selling somebody else, prospecting. You got to stay in your ICP. Let's come back though in this whole, why do good salespeople lose deals? Because you know what? They play the assumption game too much. This is a big challenge I see all the time. Salespeople are overconfident themselves that they're going to get the deal. But remember, it's not your confidence, it's the customer's confidence. Because if the customer isn't confident, why should they make a decision? So I think good salespeople lose deals because we just assume it's in the bag. I'm going to get it. I'm going to nail it. Wrong. The customer's not there with you.
Yeah, such a good point, right? Emotional intelligence. I mean, you speak and write and talk about expert in the field of mindset, and you've got to have that positive mindset, but you can't be overly confident. You've got to read the room and pay attention to where the customer is, which I think leads to the biggest reason I lose deals I should have won. And the biggest reason I lose deals I should have won is that I misjudged who the decision maker was. And, you know, this is a skill set that I have really been working at building, asking the right questions to really get into it. Because sometimes if you ask people if they're the decision maker, they'll tell you they are. When you get through the process and you find out, oh no, there's a lot of other people involved in this. And I think it's one of the biggest reasons that we do lose deals. You've got to understand, I think, not only the decision maker, who's going to pull the trigger. I think in today's marketplace, you have to understand the CFO is a major part of that decision because everybody is watching their budgets right now. But I think even though they may not be the decision maker, you still have to fold in those people that are going to be impacted or use your product or service. And missing any of those steps will cost you.
Well, that comes down to several different pieces there. One, there are more steps in every sales deal than ever before. Not steps in terms of sales process, but the customer getting confident. B, there are more people involved. But I want to come back to this whole thing. We fall for the trap of thinking the person we're talking to is the decision maker. Because, of course, we ask them if they're the decision maker. No, they're never going to say, no, I'm the stupid idiot who doesn't make, they're always going to default to it. And again, this is part of the assumption problem. This is why one of the go-to questions, I've said this on the show a dozen times, I'll say it again, but you got to ask, how have you made decisions like this in the past? Because I'm listening for what are the processes, who are the people involved. You've got to, because you're right, we wind up with people who are not the decision makers. What happens is we wind up with people who are influencers, people who are going to benefit from what it is that we sell, but they're not the ones who have the budget. They're not the ones who, and that is why you've got to get those people involved in the process much sooner. Because again, I think this is why good salespeople lose deals, because they just aren't talking with the right people. So don't hesitate early on when you're prospecting to begin clarifying who else needs to be involved and get those people involved earlier. Don't wait till you're putting the proposal across the table. That's too late, way too late.
Way too late. I also think one of the biggest reasons we lose deals is we don't nail down the timing. And Mark, I've done this in the past in the sense that, you step off a stage and somebody says, really, really, that was amazing. We'd love to have you back next year, or would love to talk to you about some sales training. And you follow up immediately, but they're not ready to go. And so you're not staying in the game as long as you need to stay in the game. So I guess it's a little bit of timing and a little bit of a follow-up. But I'll give you a great example of kind of how I handled this. So I just had a client that I did an engagement for in February, said, we'd love to have you back next year. I said, great. So I just reached out, about a week ago, I guess I did this last week, and said, I just wanted to get a feel. When is the best time to reach out? When do you start your planning so that we can have the conversation? I am not going to assume they are going to call me, because I have made that mistake before. When I assume they're going to call me, you know what? It doesn't happen, because the only person who cares whether I get the deal is me. So misjudging the timing and staying in the game enough to do that.
Without a doubt, we're the ones that have to drive the process, because one of the problems that I find is that we wind up talking to people who have interest, but they don't have intent. Mm-hmm. It's the urgency to buy, and it's the priority as to why this is so important, which comes back to another reason I think good salespeople lose deals, is because they really don't understand what is the real problem that the customer is trying to solve, and why is it so important right now. Andy chimes in with a great comment, asks, in addition to yourself, who else is involved in the decision-making process? You're right. And you know what? You can't ask that question enough, because again, depending on the size of the deal, depending on the direction that it goes, I've seen this happen several times with several engagements where, you're talking to one and then say, well, wait a minute, what about this? What about this? What about, and there are other people involved. Now that can complicate it, which comes back to another deal. I think good salespeople lose deals that they should have won because they overcomplicate it. Hey, in this era we're in, keep it simple. Make it easy for your customer to make a decision to buy.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, is that you overcomplicate the process. And you've had this great conversation, you've got interest, they're ready to buy, they're ready to purchase, and then you make it complicated to get started. I can't tell you how many times I have opted out of a relationship because at the time of purchase, they made it complicated. I had to fill out a huge form, or getting the deal started was my responsibility, not their responsibility. And so if I'm looking at 2 or 3 vendors, I'm going to go with the vendor at that point that has made the process as easy as possible.
It is. It's called barriers of engagement. And because it's the product we sell, the service we sell, we just take it as, oh, this is so easy to do. But the problem is, to the customer, no, this is a one-off situation. This is something new. And it's barriers of engagement. And this is where you, the salesperson, need to really understand what are those barriers and how do you get your customer past them. In other words, do you do that work for them? Do you do all those things? Because I come back to this whole premise that you're right, salespeople lose more deals that they should have won because they're overcomplicated. I'm going to tell you something else. I think because they fail to follow up in the right sequence. And I know you talk a lot about following up, right? I mean, how many times you got that deal almost there, almost there, almost there, and then for some reason you back off on your level of communication because you think the customer's going to make the decision. Follow-up is so critical to making sure that you don't lose that deal that you put all that time and effort into.
Yeah, I think it's the most important part of the sales process, and I think it's the most neglected part of the sales process. And I think neglected in the sense that we not only don't do it, but if you are that rare salesperson who does it, you basically do it wrong. Another reason I believe that we lose deals that we should have won is we may have won the deal, we may have gotten the process started, but we didn't engage everybody in our company in the sales process. And so somewhere in our company, they get a bad experience and the deal kicks out. I think one of the biggest shifts I've seen in probably the last 5 to 10 years in sales is that as sales professionals, we are no longer lone wolves. For most of my sales career, my job was just to go out there, find the customer, bring them in, and I didn't really care what happened to them after that. And that's not the way sales works today, because that customer is going to decide whether not only they're going to do more business with me, but they'll determine my reputation in the marketplace. So as a sales professional, I need to help everybody in the organization understand that this is a new customer. They're a precious commodity, and we need to take unbelievable care of them.
And along with that, people have to be on the same page in terms of, okay, what is the problem we're solving for the customer? Because you've seen this, I've seen this, where you get other people from your company involved and they start chasing other ideas. Hold it. Let's solve one problem right now for the customer. Let's get in the front door. Let's make the sale happen and we'll build from there. I want to come back to this whole piece though, in terms of, I think salespeople are guilty, and you and I chase a lot of deals. We're always chasing stuff. And it's easy to forego a very simple step. And, this is where your CRM system is so important.
Yeah.
Are you maintaining the records, the files in your CRM system? And good salespeople who are closing a lot of deals, they kind of start blowing off CRM systems. They don't quite update it. And I'll tell you what, going through the process of doing check, you would not get on an airplane if the flight crew on the flight deck wasn't going through a checklist before you backed away from the gate. You would not. Checklists are very important. So don't think for a moment that, oh, I got this, because that's where the assumptive mindset comes in. And we lose deals because we didn't see that one coming. No, it was coming all along. We chose to see it.
So well said, Mark. For years, I call this, I didn't use a CRM for years. I mean, I was like, yeah, what a waste of my time and energy. I'll remember what I need to remember. And then you wake up in the middle of the night and all of a sudden you remember, your pipeline's empty or shy. And you wake up in the middle of the night in a cold sweat and you remember that deal, that person who was going to buy from you, and you never bothered to follow up. I call it waitress dreams. When I used to wait tables, we would be really, really busy and I'd wake up in the middle of the night and remember I never took this guy a scotch and soda. You know what I mean? Like, it was like, oh my God, I never took that beer to that table. I never got them their butter or something. And you wake up and you're like sick at your stomach because you forgot to do it. And it's the same if you don't use a CRM. I don't care how good a salesperson are, you will never ever remember. I love what Andy is saying here. He said there's no such thing as follow up or follow through. Let's call it what it really is, a lead up. Every interaction leads up to the conclusion. Remember, they used to be a lead, but you have to be in control. When you follow something, they're in control. Let's change it to leading up. Beautifully said.
I love that approach. And that gentleman is still waiting for that scotch. So he's
No
going to
kidding, right? I mean, I have
he's
so many during October in golf season in the resorts I worked at. There are definitely golfers out there still waiting for a drink because I did not remember. And believe me, there's a path of deals that I did not close because I did not bother to put them in our CRM. Mark, do we have a question today?
we do, and I want to add one comment on that. I think we get into that habit because we get so many deals coming in at the same time. We get so busy that and then what happens? We wind up in the valley. The question comes to us today from Rashid in Asia. He says, "We love the show. Whole team lessons. We have not had a good first quarter and not sure what is going on. Feels like we're doing all the things we did in 2025 that made it a strong year. We're coaching, role playing, being consistent. Why can't we hit our sales goal?"
Okay, well, I think the biggest thing that stands out to me is that you're doing everything you did in 2025. It is 2026, and the challenges and the problems, especially in your part of the world, that your customers and your clients are facing right now have changed. They are really different. And the path to closing deals is through listening to what the current problems are your customers are facing. So if I were you, I would really do a deep dive on the first quarter. I'd look at those few deals that you won, and I'd want to know why. What did we do? What, like, everything from beginning? Did you choose the right prospect? What are the conversations you have? What did they buy? Why did they buy it? What type of company it was? Learn as much as you can learn, and then look at why you lost and figure out where in the process it's breaking down. But I think a big clue is the fact that you're still doing what you did in 25.
I think with that, hey, the activities they're doing, in terms of coaching and so forth, keep doing all that. The intent has changed on behalf of the customer. In other words, the customer is now chasing a different set of priorities. You might say, "Oh, it's the same industry, same customers." No, something has changed. There are little tweaks, and this is why you've got to be monitoring every deal that you close. What was the specific challenge that we helped the customer solve? An exercise you can do is go back and talk to all the customers that you closed in the first quarter. Find out what's going on, talk to them, understand. But this is what's happening. And I'm seeing this all across, not just in Asia, I'm seeing this all across the world in every industry. The reason people are buying today is radically different than 6 months ago. Radically different because the marketplace changed. There's so many variables going on in the world today. And what does that mean? The dynamics. What used to be maybe the price, maybe interest rate wasn't as critical of an issue. Today it is. Maybe it's cash flow, maybe it's terms, maybe it's delivery, maybe it's whatever it is, but there are things changing. And I think as a result, customers are becoming more hesitant than ever.
Yes.
Put off a decision, right?
Yeah.
They are just saying, so what this means is you've got to be absolutely simple. Make it so simple for the customer to say yes. Your job is to get in the door. Yeah.
Yeah. And I also think you need to help them increase their confidence, right? Like, I think the biggest obstacle we have right now is the customer's fear of making a wrong decision. So what are you doing to help them make the right decision? And so I think that's, I'd go back and really look at that, is that, especially again in your part of the world, but I think this is everywhere, people are really hesitant right now. I mean, they're making a wrong decision could have severe consequences. So your job is to really figure out what the urgent need is. What's the biggest problem they're facing right now? And what are you doing to help them solve that problem?
Oh, without a doubt. You ready for the book?
I am.
Emotional Intelligence for Sales Success by our friend out of Denver, Colleen Stanley. It's an excellent.
Colleen Stanley is the master of emotional intelligence in sales. And I think, I think probably one of the biggest reasons we lose deals is we don't read the room. We don't communicate in a way that works for our customer. We don't sense what is going on with them. And when you don't read the room, if your emotional intelligence is not high, you're going to miss that opportunity. And I don't know anybody better, Mark, than Colleen Stanley to really teach us about emotional intelligence.
Without a doubt, it's a great book because she writes it in her personal style, which is
Yeah.
very unique, very special, and it really very much engages you. Okay, lightning round. Ready?
Yes.
Top 10 ways to increase productivity in sales. Go.
Oh, number one, if you want to increase productivity in sales, you got to focus and know those behaviors that move the needle.
2, know your numbers, and that's going to help you're going to move the needle.
Yeah. Increase productivity, get really, really clear on your ideal customer profile and focus your time and your energy there.
Number 4, take a bunch of those leads that aren't going anywhere, get them out of your pipeline. Get them out, ignore them, get rid of them.
Yeah, that's so good. Protect the pipeline. Make sure that your sales process is as streamlined as possible, meaning you're very clear on what activities you do day in and day out.
Honor your calendar. Some of the most important meetings you'll set are the ones to yourself, for yourself, to get a specific task done in that specific window of time.
Yeah, increase your customer facing time. If you want to drive productivity, spend more time engaging with customers.
And when you do customer facing time, break it down 2 ways, existing customers and new customers. You got to track both of them separately. Otherwise, you'll get drunk on one or the other.
Yeah, as much as people are going to hate this, I'm going to say that if you want to drive productivity in sales, you need to role play. You need to role play, you need to coach, you need to look at constant ways to improve the sales process and the sales conversation.
What was that, number 9 or number 7?
I have no idea.
Have no idea. Well, I'll share one more and then we'll close out.
Okay.
It's how you start your day. It's how you start your day. When you get your day off right, it's amazing how much more productive you are. Hey, with that, we want to say thank you for listening to Sales Logic this week. If you like what you hear, subscribe, rate, and review the show on your favorite podcast app. Hey, leave us a comment too, would you please? And hey, if there's something we've done that's earned you a single dollar, consider telling a friend about our show because it's how we grow when we help you grow. I'm Mark Hunter.
And I'm Meredith Elliott Powell.
Remember, when you sell with confidence and integrity,
all of this uncertainty suddenly becomes your competitive advantage.
And the sale becomes logical. And reach out to us because we'd love to be part of your upcoming sales meeting, wherever it is in the world. Mayor was all over the world this last week.
I was all over the world. So you've got SKOs, you've got incentive programs, any place where you want to see your team drive sales, call Mark, call me. We'd love to join you. And remember, if you've got a question, if you have a concern, if there's anything that we can help you solve to close more deals, reach out to us. We'll feature you right here on Sales Logic. All right, we'll see you right back here next week for another episode of Sales Logic.